Good morning to one and all present here. This is Dual Sati speaking. We'll be talking about Internet of Things and machine learning. So, Internet of Things. What is Internet of Things? Internet of Things is a network of physical objects, devices, vehicles, and buildings and other items embedded with electronic software, sensors, and network connectivity that enables these objects to collect and exchange data. So basically, any smart device, any sensor, which is connected to the internet. They exchange data perhaps on a real time basis, and it performs specific functions. So, for example, a smart home, smart any kind of smart device. Okay, so in today's world, companies, okay, we'll take an example of an elevator company. So in the world of elevators, what happens is that each sensor is picking up how much stress each part of the elevator is experiencing. So what happens is that they can predict when that part will need maintenance. So if the elevator is not often used, so you don't need much of a maintenance, like routine maintenance. But if the elevator is being used heavily, and so the parts will wear down more quickly than anticipated, so the customer need not worry about routine maintenance checkup. The Internet of Things, the IoT device or software, it will recognize when maintenance is needed, and it will quickly deploy um, an engineer to cover the routine maintenance checkup, or to check up on the um, elevator, okay, the part of the elevator which may have worn down or may not. Okay, so things in the IoT sense can refer to a wide variety of devices such as heart monitoring, implants, biochip transport on farm animals, electric lamps in coastal waters, automobiles with built-in sensor, DNA analysis devices. Okay, these devices collect useful data with help of various existing technology and autonomously flow the data between other devices. So, basic IoT setup. If you're coming into your own home, and what happens? Okay, so you have a motion detector sensor, and it will detect when there's any movement in the house. So when there is any movement in the house, it will automatically switch on the lights. So that's basically a part of Internet of Things. Okay, so okay, components of an IoT setup. You obviously need an IoT device which will maybe take in data, like it may be sensors or any kind of smart device which will communicate with the IoT application through a network or a WAN, through the internet. Maybe through connecting to the internet may not be safe. You can use private networks, you can use your own network. So this IT application. Okay, benefits of Internet of Things: efficient resource utilization, minimizing human effort, saves times, development of AI through IoT. So within IoT, when every device is connected to the internet, so what happens is you're getting huge amounts of data, and you're you're storing huge amounts of data. So you have to go through all that data to find what is useful and what is not useful. So in machine learning, in AI, the more amount of data you have, the better chances are that the machine learning model will learn the patterns of the data. So more data, more learning outcomes, like it learns better, you'll get higher accuracy rates. So if every device being connected to the internet, like, you get in huge amounts of data. So at times what happens when you're creating a machine learning model is that you have to take in for the amount of data you have. If you have lesser amount of data, there are other features you have to use other programming methods you have to use to efficiently make the model learn the patterns of the data. So, but so when you have huge amounts of data, it's easier for the programmer, for the developer, for the machine learning model to learn the patterns of the data. So characteristics of Internet of Things: it connects to various things to a IT platform, analyze data collected and use it to build business intelligence, integrate various models to improvise user experience. So in a smart home, if if an elderly person falls down, so what happens? The sensors will recognize the pattern of a person falling down, and it will, so when an actual person falls down, it will recognize it and it will notify the um, authorities immediately. So immediate dispatch of maybe an ambulance, maybe, I don't know. um, the required authorities will be notified immediately, so the elderly person will not. So 30% of people, like elderly people who fall down, experience serious injuries. So smart homes are important in that case. When you're old, you cannot do that many things. Becomes difficult. Okay, how do IoT, Internet of Things, works? Internet of Things is not the result of a single novel technology. Instead, several complementary technical developments provide capabilities that, taken together, help to bridge the gap between the virtual and physical world. How it works: to identify and track the data of things. Sensors, of course, you have sensors to collect and process the data, to detect changes in the physical status of things, to enhance the power of the network by developing processing capabilities to different part of the network to make the smaller things have the ability to connect and interact. Okay. Applications: building and home automation, medical and healthcare systems. If in case an elderly person is uh, he he's experiencing, he must have fallen down because of some disease or some illness, so the sensor will pick up that the person is not moving, is not performing anything, he's maybe unconscious, maybe there are sensors like which will pick up that information and it will notify the hospital immediately. So with Internet of Things, everything being on the cloud platform, everything being stored in the on the cloud platform, the doctors will be notified immediately, and the doctors will have like prior information to what's happening. So they'll have real time data which they're getting from the patient, his heartbeat, his pulse rate, his blood pressure, all sorts of things. So the doctor will have like they'll have some kind of like base information through which they can go through, which they may or may not may or may not consider a serious injury. So they can, so like they'll understand like through the data they'll have basic information through which they will consider if the patient is having a serious condition or not, and they will deploy any measures against it. So if the patient has to go to the hospital immediately, the the doctor will be waiting for the patient, and everything will be set up immediately. You there's no time being wasted there. Manufacturing and environmental monitoring, infrastructure management, energy management, transportation, better quality of life for the elderly. So these are the few applications, top diverse applications: home, consumer, transport, mobility, health, body, buildings, infrastructure, cities, industries. Okay. Efficient waste management in smart cities supported by the sensing as a service. Garbage cans and sensors. Okay, there are so many examples. Internet of Things is next stage of information revolution and reference the interconnectivity of everything from urban transport to medical devices to household appliances. Could also be responsible for seeing things. Technological challenges at present, IoT is faced with many challenges such as scalability, technological standardization, interoperability, discovery, software complexity, data volumes, interpretation, power supply, interaction, short range communication, wireless communication. Think of how many number of smart devices are connected to the internet at the same time, and like you need huge amounts of resources to establish such a connection, and you're getting huge amounts of data in real time, and you have to process all those data immediately. You'll be accumulating data so much that it becomes a problem. You will obviously not store so much amount of data. You'll process the data and store data which is important and which is significant. Criticisms and controversies of IoT. Scholars and social observers and pessimists have doubts about the promises of the ubiquitous computing revolution in the areas as privacy, security, autonomy, and control, social control, political manipulation, design, and environmental impact. I think the huge thing is like security. If you're connected to the internet, if your lights are connected to the internet, and if a person can hack your home, he can switch off and switch on the lights any time. He has full access to your home, and it's pretty scary. So usually any IoT device, they should have their own network. They should not be connected to the internet. Summary: Internet of Things, only tip of an iceberg. Okay, this is basics of Internet of Things. Um,